Tariffs, Trump's favorite word. He said this many times. His words, not mine.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
Tomorrow, February 1st, will be the implementation of three big tariffs: 10% against China, 25% against Mexico and Canada. Those are crazy numbers. 10% is a lot for China considering how much business we do with them. And 10% or 25% is insane for Canada and Mexico. He claims that it's because of fentanyl, but I think that's just an excuse. I'm not mad. I mean, there's two ways to feel about this. If it works and Trump gets what he wants, he's a genius. If all that happens is that prices on our goods go up, boy, he's going to suffer massive losses in the polls. I think this is a very risky move. I remember when I was a truck driver, when Trump was president, he implemented tariffs on China, and the trucking industry suffered from that. I remember people who supported Trump, they didn't really want to talk about it, but they didn't like it either. I mean, I think this is a very risky move. He said that the American people will understand if prices go up, and that's like, dude, are you kidding me? The American people will not if you raise prices on anything in this day and age, the American people will not understand, even if you have a long-term goal. But there's a shining light at the end of the tunnel here. I've been informed by people in the comments after my rant against the External Revenue Service that Trump wants to start, is that it's supposed to replace the Internal Revenue Service. And as somebody who owes some income tax, boy, nothing would make me happier. I mean, the idea here is the government is going to raise money by taxing other countries instead of taxing its own citizens. That sounds really good. I mean, if it actually works and Trump takes away income tax, he will go down as one of the greatest heroes of America forever. I mean, do you remember when we were kids and we had like presidential elections in class? You know, this is an American school thing where each class would elect a president, and the kids would make these ridiculous promises. You know, we're going to abolish homework, and obviously that's not going to work. This is one of those ridiculous things that everybody would be on board with. I mean, he would literally like turn a lot of liberals. I mean, who doesn't want to stop paying income taxes, especially if it doesn't mean that we have to cut anything, you know, like Social Security or whatever. If we can tax other countries and the government makes its money that way, fine by me, dude. I don't care. What the hell do I care? I mean, if somebody has to get taxed, I'd rather it be somebody else than me, right? So if this actually works out that way, great, like, fantastic. But the flip side of this that I'm kind of concerned about is that prices might go up, and this might disrupt, like, the entire supply chain, and it might disrupt products. However, I understand, like, his vision for the long term, because he kind of did this with steel, is that, okay, prices might go up temporarily, but that's going to encourage America to start producing its own stuff, kind of like we used to do way back in the, well, I can't say we because I wasn't here, but kind of like y'all used to do until you gave your means of production to China. So maybe there is some genius to this in the long term, but I am afraid that his popularity might go down in the short term while prices go up. You know, I don't know how to feel about this because I don't think I know enough about the inner workings of this. I mean, the whole premise of this show is that I'm an uneducated blue collar worker just spouting off. This is like a conversation you'd have with someone at the bar, right? I'm not a political like analyst or whatever. I'm just a guy. So this is totally surface level observation. You know, if in the long term this trade war means that American production is going to increase, then boy, that's the greatest news ever because jobs are going to increase and we're not going to be dependent on a potential adversary. It's so crazy to me. Like we saw this during COVID, right? Um, we were dependent on China to make our safety equipment. And that's the most insane thing because China's supposed to be one of our adversaries. Like, how are you going to make China an adversary or have China be an adversary and then be totally dependent on their production for our stuff? Um, that's dangerous. Like, all China has to do is stop making stuff for us, and then we're screwed, at least temporarily, and then they can swoop in with some kind of strategy and knock us out. So, this is one of the reasons why I voted for Trump is that he has a decent sense of economics and he wants to bring back um, production into the US. I'm really on board with that. And I hope that the future holds this concept that each country produces their own stuff. I mean, this is a bad example, but Russia, because of all their sanctions, have started producing their own stuff. And I hear that their own internal economy has been growing pretty decently because they've been encouraging their own local businesses to thrive. And so they have tons of resources. They don't need really anybody. They just need to learn how to make things. And by the way, I'm not like promoting Russia here or anything. I'm just this is from an economic point of view, right? I'm not pro. I'm Ukrainian, so that would be interesting. I think the future would be more stable if our economies didn't depend on each other, between all the different countries. I think if every country learned how to make their own stuff with the resources that they have, instead of shipping out their resources and shipping in things that are made by someone else, I don't think that's a good idea. It's kind of like the concept of that whole airplane thing. Like, if you need to have your own oxygen supply before you can help someone else. Um, so I really like this idea of bringing back production into the U.S., but it's tricky. Like, how do you do it? Maybe tariffs are one way to do this. So I'm not really going to judge Trump on this decision just yet because I think I'd like to see how it plays out. I mean, depending on how it goes, it could either be a really bad idea that ruins his relationship with even his supporters, or this could be a very brilliant idea that has multifaceted impact on tax collection, on means of production, and perhaps other countries will start to respect us a little bit more. Because if I'm to believe what he says, we're getting ripped off. He keeps saying that, right? I haven't checked personally, so I don't know. But supposedly other countries are like taxing the crap out of us and making bad deals with us and all that sort of thing. This is what he says. I haven't checked. So if that's the case, and I'm willing to believe that, because Americans are kind of really nice, and you get taken advantage when you're too nice, you know. So, boy, I really hope this works out. Honestly, like I really, really hope this works out because, boy, we can't afford to just have prices go up and then nothing good come out of it. And as somebody who supports Trump, I would really hate for this to turn into yet another reason to hate him, you know. So I'm rooting for him, but I'm a little bit nervous. So this is going to go into effect tomorrow, which is like really fast. Today is January 31st, and fingers crossed. I mean, we'll see what happens just in time for Valentine's Day. So if your heart-shaped like knickknacks go up in price, try not to be too angry. We're playing a long-term game here, guys. Okay, hopefully the knickknacks are gonna start getting made in America soon. Oh man, Lord have mercy. Cheers, everybody. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Stick around, or I'm gonna do more of these rants.